Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica Imperialis and to today's video. Today is episode 4 of an Aelfen Adventure Season 2, my Warhammer Age of Sigmar hobby project for the Daughters of Cain and Co. And today is a special episode. Today is where everything we've been working on in this series so far comes together into one of, if not the favourite model in my collection. This is a model that I wanted to snap by when it came out, and I only did it because I was in the wrong country and I would have never got it home. This is a model that I have been sat on for weeks and have been working on, and I'm so glad that I can finally show it off. Yep. It's that episode. As you might have noticed by the title, it's that episode. I won't spoil it if you're not familiar with the Daughters of Cain and don't want to have it sort of given away before we get there. But yeah, it's that episode. So today we only have 2 models to show off, but oh, those 2 models. The tactical segment probably won't be much of a muchness today, since we've done the spells in episode 2, we did the prayers in episode 3, which you can go and watch in the playlist below, but today I just want to talk about the models in question, because oh, it's so good. As for going forward with the series, as you are probably aware, it's heading toward Christmas now. That means that uni work is stepping up and kicking my backside, plus just dealing with everything else means that I might not get episode 5 out on time. I may end up missing another round of uploading an Aelfen Adventure, which is very disappointing. I know my upload schedule has gone in the bin this semester. Didn't help that I bust my arm, but yeah, my upload schedule kind of went in the bin, and Aelfen Adventure might get delayed again. I'm hoping it won't, but it's because I have the models ready. I bought the models I want to add to the army. I just haven't got round to doing them because I just don't have time. But I'll endeavour to get something out in a couple of weeks, and we'll have an episode 5. Even if it's a little bit shorter, I intend to have an episode. But long and winding intros aside, I'm stalling as well. I'm not stalling, but I'm accidentally stalling. Let's get to it, shall we? This is episode 4 of season 2 for an Aelfen Adventure. We'll start small, we'll get bigger. Here we go. Alright. Starting us off today, we have Morathi, the High Oracle of Cain. Oh yes. It's the Morathi episode. So, Morathi. What can I say about Morathi? Well, the model is brilliant. It's it's kind of weirdly understated in that you wouldn't know at a glance that this was the leader of the Daughters of Cain. Like, I passed this off in the reveal season as just an upgraded Hag Queen, maybe a named character. I certainly didn't think it was Morathi, but there's, as they put it, an aura about Morathi. It's understated, but it is a gorgeous model. And it's very simple as well. In terms of assembly and painting, it is actually pretty simple to do. So let's talk about that, shall we? Paint scheme wise, everything you see here you've probably seen already. The flesh in particular, I talked about at length in this series. The gold is done the usual way, as well as the red, though I think I maybe did a slightly stronger highlight, and I have lined the robes with purple. Purple is sort of the other spot colour that I kind of have with the Daughters again. I think purple and red really go well together, and you'll see, or you saw last time, that I used purple as the wing membrane on my Kinnerai, so I quite like using purple as sort of a nice contrast tone. Plus, it does tie in ever so slightly with the Stormcast Eternal. It gives them a shared colour if I ever decide to ally them up for some reason. Obviously, the main thing you'll look at a glance is the gold, so that's a very important thing to get right, but I think it's actually something you shouldn't go completely overboard with, because one of the things I've learned about models is where you focus the eye. It's where you want to draw the eye to that matters a lot in painting. Where you look first will probably guide your first impression of the model. It's not you'll see the entire model, you'll see the thing you focus on first. And I found by using a bright skin tone that's the face. It's the face and the crown in the center. It's not the wings at the back. So yes, your gold needs to be important, but don't neglect doing the flesh to a high level of detail and then sort of working outward. The base probably you can put less detail into than anything else because it's the last thing they're going to look at compared to the character, except perhaps the spear, but that depends on angles, I guess. If you're looking at it from this angle, you'll probably see the spear quite early. So that's just a minor observation in my experience, that I've painted it in such a way that the eye is drawn to the face first, because that's sort of your central point for the model. I don't want the eye drawn out here or out here. I want it in the middle on here so that you can then sort of expand your eye in any direction and find something interesting to look at, whether that's the red, the gold, the black, the silver, the purple, whatever it happens to be. As for the base, I didn't do anything crazy. I just painted it to look like a sort of weathered white stone, which is something that they used to do with elves a lot. A lot of elven stone was kind of marble white sort of colours, and I've sort of gone for that idea. So I used, what's the name of the paint? Astronomican Grey, or Celestial Grey as I think it's called nowadays. Gave it a couple of different washes with non-oil and Agrax Earthshade to give it not only a slightly worn and not gleaming white effect, but also a bit of a used effect. They're a bit muddy, and with the stone underneath being the same as my normal basing scheme, which you've seen in episode 1 with the dark greys, I sort of imagine that it wouldn't be pristine white, even if it wanted to be pristine white in Morathi's eye. So that's why I did that. I admit I probably could have done something with the elven symbol on here. However, I didn't feel the need to go overboard, probably because A, I'd have missed. I'm not that good of a painter. And B, again, it's about where the eye is. So if you look at the model along this side, I want your eye up here. I don't want it down here. So again, brighter tones at the top, focus the eye in there. The hair itself is probably the most awkward part. And it's the first time I've ever done black hair in this army. So how I did it was I just base coated it black, dry brushed it grey, washed it black, and then dry brushed it grey again. It's actually the same way as I did the armour on my Stormcast Eternals, just with an extra dry brush, I think, just to make it not too completely black. And then it's got the silver hooks barbed through it, which is very interesting, and it's not represented in her stats whatsoever that she's got blades in her hair. It's actually, is that a reference to something? Because, like, Lilith Hesperax had that for the Dark Eldar, and I don't know if that's a reference. I don't know. Might just be me. But anyway, the other thing about the hair is be careful with the assembly. You can probably, you might be able to see it on the camera. Yeah, the wing actually does not glue into Morathi's back on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, you can, you can sort of see it goes into her shoulder and into the back. Now, that's what you'd expect on both sides, but because of the way the hair falls down the shoulder on this side, it actually just glues directly into the hair. So, just be careful with that. That nearly tripped me up. So make sure you hold that bond solid for a good long time. Make sure the plastic glue is completely set before you crack on. So that's the model. Looks gorgeous, but of course, rules. So Morathi, the High Oracle of Cain, is the model you pay for when you take Morathi. She's 460 points, I believe, which is a lot. We'll get to why later. So she has 6 wounds, a 4-up save, move of 6, and a bravery of 9. Okay. Her spear, Heartrender, has a 2-inch reach with 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage D3. That's very good wizard stats, but not that stellar general stats. And then her wings have 2-inch reach, 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. I have a hard time understanding whether these wings are sort of real or fake, because obviously you can attack with them, so do they move? It's, I don't know. It's one of those things I'd need to see a bit closer reading, or maybe I just missed something when I was reading the battle tome. Anyway, so she's got decent wizard stats, like powerful wizard stats, but not exactly combat beat stick. So I'll get on to that in a minute. The Iron Heart of Cain, so she cannot be healed. So the Pauper's Resurrection Prayer we covered in the last episode, can't use that on her. But no more than 3 wounds can be allocated to her in any one turn. Therefore, it takes at least 2 turns to kill her. Any wounds and or mortals allocated in the same turn over 3 are negated and have no effect. Therefore, Morathi needs at least 2 turns to die, but if you do less than 3 wounds to her in a single round, then you're going to need at least 3 turns to finish her off, because you do 2, you then do 3, you then do 1. So, she's very hard to kill. Very annoying to kill, because 4-up save, she's a character, and she's quite small in her profile, so she can hide quite easily. Also, Daughters of Cain are very, very good at face rushing, so she can be quite easily hidden that way. She's not the easiest thing to take out. Supreme Sorceress, or Sorceress Supreme. Add 1 to casting and unbinding rolls for Morathi. In addition, double the range of spells she attempts to cast. Okay, +1 to cast and unbind is good. Double range is nuts. Double the range allows powers like Pit of Shades to go off on turn 1. Mind Razor can hit a unit halfway across the board. And things like Symmetric Dance can teleport units from one corner to the other. It's a very powerful spell booster. And so it again encourages that safe play with Morathi. If she's in High Oracle form, do not chuck her into a combat. She's much better off staying in the backfield, casting an assload of spells, because she's level 3. Well, what we used to call level 3. She can cast 3 spells in one go and unbind 2. She can just be chucking magic out left, right, and flipping center, but you need to keep her safe. In terms of her spells, she knows Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Anzipal's Black Horror, which is casting value 7, pick an enemy unit within 18 inches, effectively 36 because Morathi, and roll the dice. On a 1, you do a mortal wound, so this attack cannot fail. At worst, it's a double range Arcane Bolt. On a 2 to 3, it's D3 mortal wounds, so it's a boosted Arcane Bolt, and on a 4+, it's D6 mortal wounds. It's casting value 7, D6 mortal wounds on a 4+, and you always do at least 1. It's pretty powerful, this spell. It's maybe not like the insane spell you'd expect out of Morathi, but bear in mind she's also got access, if you're in a Daughters of Cain army, to the Lore of Shadows, so things like Pit of Shades, and Mind Razor, and all of the others are in her locker as well. She can know one of those, and can utterly go ballistic with it. Note as well, though, she is a unique character, so command traits and artifacts are not a thing for Morathi, which kind of sucks because of her command ability. Worship through bloodshed. If the Hierarchy of Cain is your general, you can use this ability. If you do so, pick up to 2 friendly Daughters of Cain units within 14 inches of Morathi, which cannot include Morathi herself. Those units can immediately shoot as if it were the shooting phase, or if they're within 3 inches, be chosen to pilot an attack as if it were the combat phase. Now, this is really, really powerful, because an extra round of shooting with Heart Renders on the turn they arrive, or actually no, that won't work, or an extra round of shooting with Bloodstalkers, or an extra chance to mow down a horde with a Bloodwrack Medusa, something like that, or of course sending 30 Witch Elves to do another round of attacks, or 15 Bloodstalkers to do another round of attacks. Of course, that is utterly redonkulous, that goes without saying. But, she has to be your general. Now that sounds fine. Okay, I just don't have a command trait in my army. You can live with not having a command trait. Daughters of Cain command traits are bloody insane, but you can live without having them. You can live without your general getting +1 on the Fanatical Faith table. You can live without +1 wound and passive regeneration. You can live without, like, +1 to wound with your melee weapons. It's annoying, but you can live without it. But Morathi loses this command ability if a certain condition is met. That is the Monstrous Transformation and or the Truth Revealed special rules. As you may know, this is not the only model of Morathi. I'll be showing off the other one in a minute, but how it works is as follows. At the start of your hero phase, you can choose to make a transformation with Morathi. However, this can be forced upon you if Morathi is wounded. At the start of your hero phase, roll a d6. If this result is equal to or less than the number of wounds currently allocated to Morathi, she transforms as described and becomes her other form. So that means that if she's taken 1 wound, on a 1 she transforms. If she's taken 4 wounds, on a 4 down, she transforms. So it becomes more and more likely she's going to transform if she gets very, very wounded. And if you want Morathi as a casting powerhouse and a magical powerhouse and a command buffer powerhouse, you do not want her to transform. So again, it encourages that safe defensive play with Morathi. You don't want her in hierarchical form getting chucked into melee unless she's transforming or you're planning on her transforming, because if you do, then she'll get herself wounded and flip out, and you'll lose access to casting 3 spells and unbinding 2. You'll get some magic, but not all of it. You'll lose the command ability, and you'll also lose the cast and unbind boost, and you'll also lose the fact that she actually has a command trait. Sort of. The Enchanting Beauty special rule means that you subtract 1 from hit rolls of attacks that target her. That's all attacks. So that is actually a command trait. So she actually has a command trait, but it's just a locked one, kind of like a 40k named character. And you lose all of that. That rule goes, the casting boost goes, the double range goes, the casting 3 spells goes, the unbinding 2 spells goes, the command ability goes. There are a lot of reasons why, if you're planning to use hierarchical Morathi, I highly stress that you use her carefully. You don't chuck her about. You don't do too much. And even if you are planning to Hulk her out and send her into her combat mode, be cautious with her before she flips. Because as I'll describe on the following war scroll, you will actually suffer more quickly if you were callous with her in the early game. So, I know I'm really sounding detrimental to Morathi. I'm not. She is insane. But the fact that she has to be general to use your command ability when more than likely you won't have that ability for the entire game, either because you want her to Hulk out or because she accidentally hulks out, means that you probably won't be using it as much as you think you should. Because a Cauldron of Blood's command ability ain't nothing on Morathi's. But you might have to default back to a Cauldron of Blood as your general, unless you're planning to keep Morathi safe the entire game. And if you do keep Morathi safe the entire game, well, one stray shot and you could lose her. That's the problem. I don't mean lose as in killed, I mean lose as in she hulks out, obviously. So, Morathi Hierarchical Arcane is very, very good at what she does, which is magic and buffs and nonsense. But, of course, she has an alternate form. And if you are in the mood for a beat stick, if you are in the mood for utter carnage, then you'll want to have a look at that instead. Yeah. Behold Morathi, the Shadow Queen. This is probably the model that most of you saw and just went, what? When the Daughters of Cain got revealed. I know, I certainly did. And it's a model that I've been wanting to paint for about 6 months after it got revealed. It was like, Morathi got revealed, the Daughters of Cain came out, I was like, I want it, 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 I want it. And so within a week of coming back to university, I bought it. Because I'm me. Anywho, so this was the model that I painted after I did the Melisai, Kinnerai, and Witch Elves that you've seen already in the series. Don't mind the fact that that's broken, that's snapped, I've lost that snake head, that snapped off, I think, during a game. I apologise for that. I know someone's going to comment on it if I don't say it. So, after I painted the Kinnerai, the Melisai, and the Witch Elves, and I got the techniques that I wanted to use sort of worked out, I decided that was the time to start working on Morathi. And you can see it. You can see the fact that I worked on this model after I'd done all the others. So you've got, for example, the skin, which is a little bit off colour now that I look at it. though that might just be me being a bit overzealous with the washes or the highlights in an attempt to make it look a little bit different from the base skin. That wasn't intentional, but I might have accidentally made it look a bit grayer, or that might just be my eyes, I'm not sure. You can see again, you've got the red cloth. I decided to carry over, obviously, because she transforms. The fact that she's got black gloves with gold trim, red clothing with a purple trim, all of those details carry over. You can now see the Iron Heart of Cain in her hand. She actually had that in her hand in the hierarchical form, but it's sort of tucked, almost like behind her back in her left arm. So you can't really see it, because when you put the hair on, it kind of gets in the way. Then you have the wings, which are probably the most striking detail, which are done in exactly the same way as the Kinneri, which is, of course, black membranes with purple fibers, bones. What's the word for the bits between wing membranes? I don't know. And I actually also bought a new paint for taking that section on. I bought Nagaroth Night, so I'd have a darker base coat to work with and then highlight over. Just a small change, but it was a change nonetheless. Heartrender stayed the same, so silver with a bit of gold, and then the brown handle. Though, weirdly, the spear gains more detail as she transforms. I guess it has to get bigger to compensate for that. She's got bigger, so yeah, sure, whatever. The snakes I did in a similar manner to the Blood Rat Medusa, and of course, the tail itself. I'm going to pick her up. I might regret this. So you can see it's green scales with that light greyish blue, or bluey grey central scale, exactly the same as for the Melisai. I did that deliberately. This is why I did the Melisai first, was to practice the technique and get used to doing it. The pillar, you can actually see, if I get my fingers in the right combination, at the base, that's the step she was stood on before. So obviously all the architecture has to be the same. So again, the pillar's done the same way as it was on the High Oracle. You then got this weird decapitated elf down here, which I put a little bit of blood sort of here to symbolize the fact that he's been killed and slashed in half and then turned to stone, or just kind of blood and stone, and I don't know. I just thought that that was a little bit thematic. You got the giant stinger at the base of the tail, with all the blue along the inside, which is a lot easier to do than for the Blood Rat Medusa, by the way. And yeah, that's what went into making Morathi. So all the techniques, all the colours I've been using throughout the series so far came together to make Morathi happen. But a few things for assembly. The wings are very similar to the Kinneri, so they go into her back, which means that you can paint them separately when it's actually in sub-assemblies, but then painting them or then getting them on is forced to be done by glue unless you're very, very, very good at magnets or have some very good method of using magnets. They can't really clip in, clip out that easily, though that might just be me. Other detail is that the tail and the pillar are completely tied together. So the way this is, it's not like, here's some tail pieces, thread the pillar through. No, you stick the tail sort of around the pillar and to the pillar. So I don't know how well you'll see it, but there's a recess in the pillar there where the tail sits. Those pieces do sit together like that, but you can't paint them separately. Or at least I don't think you can. You might be able to, but I don't think you can. And is there anything else in assembly? Oh yeah, just sub-assemblies, again, are your best friend. Use sub-assemblies, so the wings, the tail, the base, keep the pillar off the base, all of that fun, usual stuff. Just use your common sense if you're a sub-assembly user, and I would not recommend painting this all in one piece, just for obvious reasons. But that is the build. Now, what about the rules? So, Morathi, in her Shadow Queen form, starts off with a base move of 14, though that degrades, 12 wounds, a 4-up save, and bravery 9. She gets a shooting attack, which is 6-inch range, 1 attack hits on a 2, and then you roll against the wound characteristic of the target model. You beat it, it dies. So you target a 2-wound model on a 3-up, you kill it. You target a 5-wound model, you kill it on a 6. Make sense? Good, because that's how it works. Heartrender gets a significant boost. Obviously, it's now being wielded by a giant snake monster. So it's still 2-inch reach, but now with 6 attacks base, though that degrades. 3s and 3s, 2 rend, and 3 damage. So an extra point of rend on the old heart render and a flat 3 instead of D3 in terms of damage. And with 6 attacks, they are beat stick stats. However, there's more. Her Crown of Serpents, you know, the big hair, that has 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, no end damage 1, which is actually worse than the wings she used to have. So you've lost some rend there on those attacks, but you've put it into heart render, so it's fine, I think. And then the tail gets a 3 for each single attack, 3s and 3s, rend 2, starts off at damage 6, though this does fall off to D3 by the time she dies. So Morathi can hit in Shadow Queen form very, 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 very hard. She still has the Iron Heart of Cain, so she still can't be healed, but she can't take more than 3 wounds in a single round, meaning that you need 4 turns to kill her. If she's at full health, I'll get to that. She's now down to a level 1 wizard. Well, what I would call level 1 is in she knows 1 and she can unbind 1. And the spells she knows are the same: Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Arntipal's Black Horror, which is now back down to its normal 18-inch range instead of the 36 it has in Hierarchal form, because she doesn't have Sorceress Supreme. She gains Fly, that's no surprise there. And then, of course, you have Monstrous Revelation. This is the transform rule. So it is set up, this model, not at the start of the game, but when you use either Monstrous Transformation or the Truth Reveal, 2 rules that we talked about earlier in the episode. When you do so, remove the High Oracle of Cain model from the board and set up the Shadow Queen on that spot, or within 3 inches. Oh, well, you set her up exactly where she was, unless you literally can't fit, i.e. you were stood under a building or something like that. You move a maximum of 14 inches from the spot where she was standing before transformation. Or actually, no. If you can't put her exactly where she was, put her as close as you can, but if you move more than 14 inches, you can't move afterwards. So, fine. You can only put her within 3 inches of an enemy unit if she was already within 3 inches of an enemy unit, so you're going to have to make a charge move with Morathi, but you don't have to set her up more than 9 inches away from enemy models for the sake of fairness. Any wounds allocated to the High Oracle of Cain form prior to transformation are carried over to the Shadow Queen and then doubled. For example, if 3 wounds were allocated to the High Oracle, then the Shadow Queen would be set up with 6 wounds already allocated. This is why you have to be so careful with the High Oracle form. Because 1, if she gets plinked, there's a chance she'll flip out when you don't want her to. 2, every time she does get plinked, then your Shadow Queen takes 2 wounds, and you've only got 12. So that's going to fall off quite fast, and to start losing stats, you only need to take 3. So if Morathi in High Oracle takes 2 wounds or more, then the Shadow Queen suffers for it. Keep that in mind. Know that Morathi cannot transform back. That's a lore thing, so once she's gone into Shadow Queen, she can't flip back and stays that way for the rest of the game. If Morathi was your general in High Oracle form, she loses the Worship Through Bloodshed command ability, which sucks, but she is still your general, which means you can't pick a new one and get a new command trait. Also note that you lose Supreme Sorceress and Enchanted Beauty, and you can get less spells when you're in Shadow Queen form. So, all of the bonuses that Morathi, the High Oracle, provides to you as an army and as a player go in the bin. You basically get from a casting and buffing powerhouse to a ginormous flying beatstick who can't die very quickly and also has some magic on the side for reasons. Now that's fine. That's absolutely 100% fine. But using the Shadow Queen is not as simple as, okay, my Morathi got pinged, time to change. Or, oh flip, she got pinged, let's go. You really need to time, and I think this is probably one of the most difficult things to learn with Morathi, is timing the transform very, very carefully. Go too early, and you lose the boost that could make your army do utterly insane things in the early game, and you lose a lot of your support magic. Do it too late, and there's a chance, and this is something that's often leveled at the High Oracle, that you don't get enough value out of the Shadow Queen. Either because you don't have time to make your points back in killing stuff, or because you've taken so much damage from the transformation, or prior to transformation carried over, that you genuinely cannot output enough damage to make up for it if you happen to flip out. So, if you want your Morathi to transform, there are generally two schools of thought. One is the instant transform. And some people do this to great effect. They don't even care about the hierarchical. They go straight to Shadow Queen and say, right, mate, you need 4 turns to kill my Morathi because she's at full health and full power. Can you do that? No? Tough, you're dead. And that's a completely valid strat. That's a very, very good strat for using Morathi. It's one of the more powerful builds. The other way to use the Shadow Queen is as a sort of get out of jail card. It's like, okay, I'm probably in for a beating next turn. Let's flip now, and then I'll live longer and be able to counter that in a more direct way than I could in hierarchical form. So, as an example, you're about to take a massive charge from Beastclaw Raider Cavalry, and you need to protect your Witch Elves for one more turn to score an objective or something. Okay, great. Here's what we'll do. We'll throw Morathi into Shadow Queen form because Pit of Shades and whatnot and the magic she's got and the buff she's got are not going to save me. Let's go. Flip into Shadow Queen, fly over the top, charge in, kill a bunch of stuff, and stall like crazy. Because obviously retreat and charge isn't a thing for most units, so you can easily stall that oncoming charge for 1, if not 2 rounds, and if they decide to stick it out and kill you, well, tough luck for them, they're going to have the fight of their lives, and if they decide to run, well, good, Morathi's free, she can go fly around and kill more stuff. Those are the 2 ways I would primarily use the Shadow Queen, is as a instant transform, alright, we're just playing a Shadow Queen game, let's go, or as a get out of jail free card, but it's a very cautious get out of jail free, because once you lose the hierarchical buffs, they're gone. Rest of the game, gone. Keep that in mind, it's very, very important. So, 460 points. That gets you both of the models you've seen today. You play hierarchical for a while, then it flips, you go Shadow Queen, you do stuff. Is that worth it? It depends on what game you want to play. Morathi is undoubtedly very, very powerful and useful to you. In hierarchical form, she's got unmatched magic by nearly any wizard in the game, and her command ability is insane. In Shadow Queen form, she can go toe-to-toe with most monster heroes and kill them, and certainly outlive them unless they happen to be Archaon or Nagash who have instant one-shot kill effects, because that overrules the Iron Hearts of Cain. Morathi is very, very good. You've just got to use her with a brain. You've just got to be careful with her. It's kind of like using Daughters of Cain generally. Daughters of Cain, I know, are probably a little bit maligned for being utterly OP beat sticky right now, and being able to crush stuff quite easily. But you can't just chuck them about willy-nilly because they're flimsy as sin. You need to use your brain and use them carefully and correctly in order to get those crushing results that we're seeing in tournaments. Morathi embodies that perhaps like more than any other unit, because knowing if you should transform her, when to transform her if you do decide that you want to do so, and then being able to react if she flips and goes when you're not wanting her to go, is the mark of a good general for Daughters of Cain if you're using her. You don't have to use her. I know some builds do, some builds don't. Personally, I love using Morathi, and I will use her a lot as a tactical test for my brain as much as it is for the sheer joy of using this thing on the tabletop. But anyway, that is all for today. I do hope you've enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think of Morathi in the comments below, both as a model, as a paint scheme, and as a set of rules. Are you a instant transformer? Are you a Derva transform? What are your sort of thought process about using Morathi or countering her? Because of course I talk about it from the Daughter Game player perspective, not so much from those trying to kill her. So how do you go about doing that? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be very interested to see what you have to say. But now though, thank you very much for watching Tactica Imperialis. This has been episode 4 of season 2 of An Elfen Adventure. And I'll see you all again. Bye for now.